What's going on, everybody? Demarco Crum, Laura Mahoney here for another episode of the Strength with Purpose show, where we are here to help you become your strongest selves and have some fun along the way. So, Laura, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Yeah, it's summer, um, no school, and we're just daddy daycaring it over here, and we're
Hey.
just figuring it out as we go. A lot of time at the
Yep.
pool, and it's been really fun though. It's been great to just have some unstructured time to fill the void. So.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny. I was just talking to my husband last night about daycare, and my son's probably going to go to kindergarten next year, I believe it is. And I
Wow,
got
yeah,
home, and I was like, but I like want him home all the time now because he's going to be in school like in a year.
exactly.
But then you just reminded me there's summers, and like how cool is it going to be? He's not going to be like little forever, but how cool is it that there are going to be summers where there can be more unstructured time?
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. And, looking back on my own childhood, those are my favorite memories are when we did something like off, quote unquote, off the beaten path,
Yeah.
unstructured, the beach trip, hey, let's go do this today. Let's go do this day trip. Let's go do something, or let's skip school today and go do something fun. So those are the memories that we hold on to, and the memories that our kids will hold on to as well. So
Mhm.
it's awesome. I have a really funny fitness and parenting related story to share with you that I think
Okay.
our audience will get a real kick out of. So a few weeks ago, maybe about two and a half weeks ago, I came inside from a session and I heard Vivi and Lauren in the bathroom and Vivi screaming, which is not really saying much because typically it's like she doesn't want to potty or she
Yeah.
wants to do everything her way all by
Yep.
herself. I'm sure you're dealing with that with Tommy right now.
Always. Enemy of
And
God, yes.
yeah, so I didn't think anything of it, but I came over and I checked in. I was like, "Hey, you guys doing okay?" And Lauren says, "No." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I open the door,
Uh-huh.
and Vivi has taken one of my wooden rings, like the ones where the with the straps that you use, for pull ups and dips and stuff, the gymnast rings, and she has managed to get it around her waist.
Her
Um,
waist.
her waist, yeah. And initially it's like, oh, haha, that's kind of funny and really impressive. But then we
Yeah.
tried to get it off of her. So I tried going south. We couldn't even get it over her hips, which I wasn't surprised. It's like, it's
Yeah.
already pretty small. It was
Yeah,
very,
they're not that big.
yeah, it was loose around her waist, which is good. It wasn't constricting her breathing or anything. So but then we tried to go north and then we tried to bring her arms up overhead, but then the shoulder blades came out,
Yeah.
so we couldn't get it over her shoulder blades. So we're like, shit, man, thing's kind of stuck. And then we tried like one arm down, like tried it all. Nothing
Yeah.
worked. And we're like, oh shit. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm a man. I'm a fixer. I'm gonna fix this problem. I got this. And
Uh-huh.
Lauren immediately is like, dude, we need to call somebody.
That's
I'm
yeah,
like,
my
no,
husband would be your
yeah,
way.
like I'm a man. Well, this your husband will appreciate where this story goes too. So, which is gonna full circle. We'll
Uh-huh.
say we would have needed him, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm a man. I can fix this problem. I'm a fixer, and I'm self sufficient. So, so I take my hammer and a nail and I just like try to hammer some nails in there. And this thing is thick, and it makes sense. It would be very well built. And it's very
Yeah.
compact because it's supposed to hold up human body weight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that's not working. Plus, it's on her, right? So I'm being careful because I don't want to accidentally hit her with
Right.
something. So that doesn't work. I'm like, let me drill some holes in it. That'll work. So we're like pulling it up, putting it onto the table,
Oh my God.
trying to do that, and I'm just too scared to even try. I'm
Yeah.
like, what if I slip and get her? So like this, maybe 20-25 minutes go by, and I'm like, oh, the bolt cutter. If the maintenance in our building has a bolt cutter, we can use that. The person was out for a doctor's appointment, so just
Oh,
Murphy's law. And
yep.
Lauren is telling me, she's like, dude, we just need to call somebody. So eventually I relent. I'm like, okay, fine. So we called my daughter's her pediatrician's urgent care line, like their the nurses.
Yep.
And we told her what happened, and she just said, "Wow, that's the first time I've ever heard of that." And we're like, "Oh, okay, thanks. That's
Yep.
helpful." At least,
Yep.
and it also did make us feel better because we're like, "Okay, cool. At least we're vindicated in our struggle to figure out how to get this freaking thing off." And then Lauren said that we should just call the non-urgent fire department. And then the lady on the phone said, "Oh, that's a great idea. They're really good at getting people out of stuff like cars and
Yeah, yeah.
houses and buildings and shit." And I was like, "No, no, I can figure this out. Let me try to figure it out." And Lauren's like, "Just call him." And then I like maybe 5 minutes later, I'm like, "Okay, fine." So we call him, and we explain to him on the phone. It's not life threatening. but we do need to get this thing off of her. And they send not one, but two trucks, two big fire trucks, 7 firefighters,
Awesome.
and they're blocking the entrance into our garage for our apartment
Uh-huh.
building. It's so incredibly extra, but it's amazing. If I remember, I'll put the picture up here because it's funny. I've got
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
her just looking at the two trucks. And they're step off the truck, and everyone's laughing. They're just laughing their asses off because they can see it's not life threatening or anything. But
Yeah.
they're just laughing, and they start asking her like, "Oh, what were you doing? Were you playing?" And Vivi said, "I was pretending I was at the beach, and I wanted my pool floaty." And we're like, "Oh my
Oh,
god!"
how funny is that?
So yeah, so the first truck, they're like, "Okay, let's try the bolt cutters," and those don't work. They don't open up wide enough because those things are
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
thick, right? And we're like, oh shoot. And that was my thought was, oh, the bolt cutters. Okay, cool. At least I'm on the same track. And then they search through the first truck and like, oh, we don't have this thing. They're like, oh, what about the power saw? And they're like, oh, we could try that. And then what about this other tool? And then they take out this. It looks like a. It looks almost like a super sized electric drill.
Mhm.
And it had a saw on it, like with about maybe 2 inches long, with like
Okay.
teeth, but it
Yeah.
vibrated, and then they took this thick plastic protractor looking thing between the ring and between her belly, and they sawed it off on one side, and then they sawed it off on the other. We have the ring still, the two pieces. It's like a
Cool.
perfect cut, and it was great. I mean, they did a great job. It was really cool seeing them in action. And then when Vivi started getting nervous about the saw, the building manager came out and gave her a popsicle to distract her, which was very helpful. So
Yeah.
shout out to our firefighters for
Yeah.
stepping up and helping us out in a pretty wild situation. And yeah, so if you have rings and you have a kid that likes to play with rings, just I guess watch them a little bit better. And she snuck into our room in our closet. We're like, oh shoot!
I
So
mean, they like get into everything like all the time.
they
It's
do.
what they can do. Apparently, like when I was little, I had my foot in a stuck in a Barbie doll house, and like my parents couldn't get that off
Yeah.
right away. My brother got his head stuck between the railings on a chair, like at a
Oh
restaurant.
yeah, that happens. Yeah.
They're like this wide, and somehow he got his head caught. And they're like, you just never know what's going to happen
You're
when you
like,
can't predict this either. Like, who
yeah.
would put a ring around their waist to pretend it's a floaty until that very moment when she decided that was going to be her like fun idea for the day.
It was yeah, it was fun. It all in all, it didn't take too terribly long to get it sorted, which was good, but it was definitely one of those like, okay, this is why we have stuff in the closet. And then we're gonna um the locks kept Vivi out for a while, but it's basically this thick flathead screwdriver. Um Not attachment, but you know what I mean? Like what, like groove, like that you would
Yeah.
put the screwdriver in. So you can just take your fingernail and turn the lock, and she knows how to do that now. So she can easily get in and out of our rooms. The front door obviously has a more sophisticated
Yeah.
situation because we can't let her get out of there, obviously. But yes, so we will be increasing our security measures, updating all that good stuff, and shout out to the fire department for continuing to help people like us, poor souls like us, parents trying to keep our kids safe.
I remember, so for anyone that doesn't know, my husband is a firefighter.
Yes.
Um, I remember we got in like a tiff. My son was maybe like one, and my husband like came home, and I don't even remember like what like happened that we were mad at each other about. Because like Laura, like I'm saving people all day long from like all these like crazy scenarios. I was like, but I'm also watching like a 1 year old to make sure that he doesn't hurt himself for 24 hours
So
straight when
that
you're
you don't
gone.
get that call.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you also have not, this was a heat in the moment. You have no idea what it's like to do that by yourself for this many hours on
Yeah.
end. And it was just funny, like what the reactions are, because it is just so much work and takes so much mental energy.
Yeah.
Watch kids. And then, I mean, this is my conversation for this week because everybody's sick again in our house, and my Pat's gone like an extra shift this week, so like I'm by myself extra this week. I'm like tired. I'm like, but I also like have to watch my kids by myself, and I have to run a business somehow and respond to all
That's
these
it.
people and like fulfill my own schedule. And I had strep throat last week too, so I was like, this is just like a
You're
lot right now.
exactly. Yeah. Well, and one of my favorite, this is I highly recommend you check this page out if you don't already follow them, but it's the tired dad
Oh,
on
I do. Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, he's good. He's so
Yeah, his wife has a page too. I think it's the
fun. I
tired
remember.
mom, something like
Okay.
that. But his quote that he drops a lot is parenting is hard for good parents, which I think is cool. It's like because you're doing the work and
Yeah.
you're moving through the discomfort and you're trying to level up. You're not trying to not stay
Yeah.
stagnant. So I like that. I always try to think of that whenever my daughter gets stuck in a ring and we're like, oh shit. But then we're not panicking, right? That's our moment to try to show some grace and to try
Definitely.
to, which again, when you see first responders, I mean, shout out to your husband, and to all the wonderful first responders out there that can work. And I mean, and that was a low stakes situation.
Yeah, yeah.
They deal with much more extreme situations. So for them, that was probably just a fun day to take some
There-
toys out and play. But
So
it's
finish my
amazing watching them work, under serious pressure. When
yeah,
when time is a serious factor. So
yeah.
it is awesome. So super hard
Amazing.
pivot after that anecdote.
Mhm.
And one more shout out for first responders because they're awesome
Yeah.
and we love and respect you, the men and women out there serving.
Mhm.
Our topic for this week is a very fun one that will probably turn into a little bit of a rant. Laura and
Okay.
I collectively have about 25 years of experience in the field. So we've seen a lot, we've done a lot, we've noticed a lot. You especially, Laura, because you were in management
Yep.
position, as was I for a brief period of time, but you definitely were in it more than I was. And it reminds me of the State Farm commercial. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two,
Yeah. Yep.
and that's really the case. So the main question, I'm going to throw it to you first, Laura. When should someone fire their personal trainer?
Yeah, this is a loaded topic too. So when you told me what this
Yeah.
topic would be, I had so many thoughts running through my head because
Oh,
I've
of
been
course.
fired before too. I've been fired before. I
Yeah.
had a comment from somebody last week where I wasn't expecting it, but they had to say like this isn't for me, and I had to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately it comes down to not like you should fire your personal trainer when you're not being listened to. That's number one. It's not about the programming. It's not about there's other factors that go along with it, but first and foremost, for me at least, it should be when you're not being listened to. If you're saying what your goals are, if you're saying what you want, if you're saying what's keeping you motivated or what you need to keep you motivated and it's not happening, then it might be time to fire somebody else. Because I could tell you to squat, DeMarco, you can tell the same person to squat, but we're gonna maybe approach it differently and we have different personalities. So a lot of the times there's like the saying out there, which I know you've heard, but like you hire coaches, not coaching. You have to have the coach that works with you.
That's a
But
fantastic
yeah,
answer.
yeah,
I
yep.
love it.
That's my loaded one. Actually, that's not even my loaded one. That's my I'm trying to keep it short and sweet one.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
like if it were the elevator pitch version of
yeah,
that answer. And I
exactly.
completely agree. That was one of the ones I thought of as well,
Yep.
because like you just said, we hire coaches, not coaching, and
Mhm.
it's about the process. It's
Yep.
about the student and the client, the client and the trainer, the student and the quote unquote master expert. There's a relationship there, right? And it's if the person isn't being listened to, that really means they're not being respected, they're
Yep.
not being valued, and
Exactly.
it's a one-way street. So that's not good. There needs to be mutual respect, and I agree. You've got to, and this is where a lot of coaches get really arrogant about fitness. They want to oversign. You've
On
seen it online.
egos.
People are
Yeah.
like, oh, if a mom or dad comes in or anybody and they say, I don't want to get super jacked. I just want to tone up a little bit. And then someone goes into the tirade of like, oh, well, toning actually is this and it's that. It's like, no, 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 just dude, shut up. Just
Do
speak the
it.
language, man.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what they want.
Yep.
You know how to deliver it. You don't
Yep.
have to be a dick about it. Like,
No.
you don't have to say like, oh, I want to make sure that you know, I want to lose belly fat and I want to, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, let's go dig, dig, dig. Why? I want to feel more comfortable in my body. I want to feel more capable. I want to feel strong. I want to feel powerful and all that awesome stuff and be empowered. So like, let's, take away the pretension and the arrogance and just serve the client, just serve the person in front of you. So I agree. I think that's the grand slam answer. And we could end it right there.
Right.
Because
And
I see that a lot. You've seen it a lot. You've
right.
seen it where it's like, okay, cool. Here's my program, and go.
Yep.
And this is it. This is our program. I'm going to segue into something right after that
Yep.
that I think pairs nicely with that. And
Mhm.
I would say someone that isn't open-minded,
Oh yeah,
because if
perfect.
someone's not listening, they're probably also not open-minded. So I think these are pretty
Yeah,
related.
it goes hand in hand.
If somebody has a program, you know, like if I have my kettlebell essentials program, which is certain movements that I like to coach, and it's certain exercises, certain sets, certain reps, certain rest periods, all that good stuff. But the person doesn't have the equipment that the program requires, or the time constraint, or they're moving gyms, or they switch from working from home to back in the office, and then they have a gym, but it's different equipment. Whatever the changes are, we've got to be able to make adjustments, and we can't be so rigid
Mhm.
that the program can't change when we need it to.
Exactly.
So I think that's another thing of, okay, well, or if it's a client that there's just exercises that they really like to do,
Mhm.
or exercises they really don't like to do. If we don't listen to that client and make some of those changes, then
Yeah.
they're not going to stick with you because you're not listening and you're being too rigid. I told
Ex-
this story before where I had a client who he really didn't want to do cardio. He just wanted to lift weights. Now I made him swing the kettlebell because that was my way of kind of sneaking it in there and just
Yeah,
saying, "No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
power, bro. We're training power," which was true, but
It's true.
also like,
But
let's
get
get
the
that
heart
heart
rate
rate up a
up
little
too.
bit for just health. But it was good, and it's a great accessory move for the deadlift. So I was able to sell it and actually be truthful with a
Mhm.
little slight ulterior motive.
Yeah.
But he did not want to do barbell deadlifts. He really loved the trap bar deadlift, and he really liked this one trap bar that was in the back private training room that technically was only for clients, which he was.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. So we didn't bring it out often. It was heavy. It was a pain in the ass to plug that fucking thing from the back all the way to the front. But you know
Mhm.
what? He invested his time, money, and energy into training with me. That's the
Yeah.
bar he wants. That's the bar he gets. As long as
Yeah.
someone else wasn't using it, I wasn't going to snatch it from another client. But that was a situation where it's like, listen, he didn't want to use one of those like Gronk bars. Remember the thick handles on it.
Yeah.
He wanted that one. He liked that bar. He liked the way it felt, and it was the one he wanted. You're like, you know what? Sounds good. Let's load it up. Let's train. Let's do it. So I love that. So we've already got two right off the bat. Listen. If they're not listening to you, you should fire them. And if they're not open minded, if they're too rigid, you should
Yeah.
probably also fire them. I'm going to throw the hot potato back to you, Laura. What's another reason why you should fire your trainer?
Um, I'll give you one in a second, but I also want to piggyback on that and just say,
Do
like,
it.
from a client's responsibility, you also have to be open to talking with your
Yes. Yes.
that. So those also go hand in hand with that too. Because sometimes when I've been fired, I will say, like, I could think of a handful of clients where, like, looking back on it, I know I wasn't listening carefully enough, and I wasn't aware enough at the time, or I didn't have as much experience as I do now. But if you don't communicate with your trainer to give them the opportunity to change things up, and all of a sudden you're just like, no, I'm done, without like even like hinting or trying
Yes.
to
Yeah.
segue into that kind of conversation, then that's also you have to take ownership of that too. So I'm saying
I
that loud
agree.
and loud. It goes
Yeah.
both ways. It's a two-way street. And like what I like
It
to say with
does.
my clients is run to me, not from me. And the more you communicate with me, the
Oh, I
more
like that.
results you're gonna get. If you don't communicate with me at all and you're frustrated, there's a reason for that. And then if you like ghost me or you don't talk to me about anything, like I can't help you. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm going to piggyback off of
yeah,
the piggyback, and let's be
we're good.
real.
We're good.
Piggybacking is like the backbone of podcasting, anyways,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of what podcasting was made for.
Yeah.
Don't ghost people.
Don't
Like that's
ghost
just not cool.
people.
Don't ghost people. Whether
Hey,
you're a client or a trainer, just please don't ghost. It's not
or
nice.
even just
It's
like
just
a
not
person in
cool.
everyday life. They're like, no,
Unless
I'm
someone
not
just did
interested.
something. Oh, what's that?
I say, we're just like a person in everyday life. You don't need to like ignore people to,
Yeah.
or,
I mean, if someone just
you
like
don't need to ignore people in your
disrespects
life.
you, yeah.
Yes.
If
Yep.
someone just completely disrespects you or just violates a boundary, like yeah, you can cut them out,
Yeah. Yeah.
but don't ghost people. I've
Yeah.
been ghosted so many times. I mean, I'm sure you have too, because again,
Oh, it's like it's hard
it
sometimes.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
So if a trainer ghosts you, we can just say that you should fire them as
That's the
well.
bad one. There you go. Yep. That's the
I
bad
think I
one.
think that's a fireable offense. So,
Yep.
Laura, I'm gonna let you throw one more into the
Yep.
mix, and then we're gonna have to wrap up in a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of summer, my daughter's out of school right
All
now,
right.
and we're still one carring it. So I'm Daddy Uber,
There we go.
taking care of the I'm the chauffeur.
Mhm.
In addition to many other hats that I wear. But Laura, just give me the
Yeah.
next one off the
Last,
top of your head. Why
last
should
one.
you fire your coach?
This one goes along with, I think, being communicative also, but when you don't feel safe. If you feel like you're about to get hurt or if your coach isn't watching you,
Yes,
or if you're doing like in-person sessions or Zoom sessions, if your coach isn't watching you and they're just like shooting the shit with their colleague and or looking on their phone instead of watching you do your set, then I think that's also grounds for not needing that person anymore and getting somebody else that is going to be more attentive.
I agree. And phone use was at the top of my list.
Hmm.
So yeah,
There you go.
that was
Perfect.
definitely my very first thing. It was like, if you're just sitting on your phone scrolling, like, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
what are we doing? So,
Right, exactly. I would use my
no.
phone, and I did have get talked to about this actually. I will say this, but I use my phone to track people's workouts. So I would pull it out, write down
Yes.
three sets of 12 times 95 pounds, whatever it was at the time, and then put my phone away. I also did get in trouble for that. I was supposed to use an iPad instead of my phone, so I learned, but
Yeah,
I mean, I took it out, I wrote something down, and I openly said to the client, hey, I'm just writing down your sets and your reps and your weight that you're using, and
exactly.
then I put it away. So, like, that's also being respectful and responsible because I communicated that.
Yes.
It wasn't scrolling because you could tell when somebody's scrolling, they're just going like this all
Oh,
the time.
you have that blank stare in your
Yeah.
face and
So,
very vacant expression. No, and phone etiquette's a big thing. I agree because it's the tool. It's the smartphone
yeah.
is an amazing tool. A lot of times I'll use it to show someone a video, right? Like, oh, see how this guy does this exercise or how this girl does it. Watch her setup on the
Yeah.
deadlift. But I always say, I always make a joke out of it to really disarm, really help kind of disarm the person. I always say like, oh, I'm going to show you something really quick. By the way, I'm not on MySpace. I'm just going to show you this clip really quick. So people just have a little laugh about that. It's like
Yeah.
MySpace. Wow.
I know. You're playing
Um,
that like 20
and then
years.
with younger clients, they're like laughing at me like, wow,
But
you're
it's
old.
yeah. I love it. I love
So,
it.
but I think those are great. I think not listening to the client, and again, that two-way street of we need that communication because again, goals will change, priorities will change. That's okay. We can make adjustments, but you got to tell us what you need, and we also have to listen. So both sides of the equation. We need the yin and the yang. Not being open-minded, being super rigid about the program and just saying, listen, this is my program, and I'm going to mold you to fit my program versus my program can be molded to you. Um, so I think that mindset, and then again, just phone etiquette, respect, and there was one other one you mentioned that led into the phone. Distracted. I mean, being distracted
Yeah.
also kind of
Yeah.
ties in. So, or safety, obviously, yeah.
I
Which
just say
again,
yeah.
a distracted trainer is not maintaining safety, especially if we're doing like a high level exercise. We're doing a heavy, a set of 5 barbell back squats or something, or a new movement that someone's not familiar with. Like you should hopefully be locked in. Really, I mean, you should be locked in the entire time, but especially locked in when someone's doing a newer movement, doing something new. So, all right. Well, we've lost Laura, but it's all good. We're going to keep on rolling, and that's the end of it anyway. So, want to thank all of you so much for tuning in for another episode of the Strength with Purpose show. I hope that we helped you become your strongest self and have a little fun along the way. And if any of you are working with a trainer that are guilty of some of these offenses, I would say have a conversation with them first, and if they're open to hearing some feedback and potentially looking, would potentially change some habits, then I think it's worth still trying to preserve the relationship. But if you do that and they just, they're not listening and they kind of write you off, then fire them and find a better coach. That's what I say.